Hello, I am back reading some more of Esoteric Psychology, book by Alice A. Bailey. As I was sitting here, I had the book face down, and I haven't read the back of this just yet, so I thought really quick, if anyone's just starting with this video, this is a really great summation right here. It says that from the point of view of esoteric psychology, evolution is the evolution of consciousness by which the embedded fragment of the soul within the personality progressively identifies its spiritual source and becomes at one with it. And so that's what this is all about. It's understanding that evolution, sorry about that bump, evolution is not necessarily like the evolution of us towards more technology and more AI and programming and becoming this digital world. AI is within our sentient beings, our true natural selves evolving forward. And what that looks like is a lot different from what we've been told scientifically evolution is, because we're like, why isn't our form changing? Why aren't we changing shapes like from the caveman to what's our next form going to be? Is it this AI merge? It's really the merging of the unseen with the seen realms and understanding what is truly within us, which is a fragmented soul, which is very powerful and has been broken down, stepped down into this realm to a full loss of control, to a full loss of self-knowledge, and awakening to the power of its fullness is what would be the key to then re-emerging into that fullness from within it. So reawakening from within the sphere of the physical body, understanding what we are that's greater than that. All right, so we're on the fifth ray. There are 7 rays, a septonate, and I'm going to pull up the little chart real quick, and it reflects that we've been going over the first 3 rays in one video. I'm also going to do the tarot correspondences. Tarot is, in its origin, basically a tool, flashcards used in the occult. Occult is the hidden secret, unknown, kept from the masses because they did not trust everyone with information, because people do strange things with information, power, and control. But the irony of that is that the people that held that did exactly what they purported that they were protecting the masses from. So tarot was a flashcard. It's basically occult flashcards. Flashcards for the cycle of life, the pattern of life. There's, I think, 52, 58 cards in a traditional tarot deck, and it goes on the fool's journey from that foolishness to that full completion of sentience, which is exactly what we're talking about here, where the fragmented soul uncovers its spiritual self and becomes at one with it. Or like we talk about with the zodiac in astrology, when the 1 becomes the 12, the monad, we embody every zodiac sign, positive traits, understanding the lower attributes of that too, recognizing that within us, calling a spade, looking at another, calling a spade, understanding where they're reflecting from, where they're vibrating from based on their birth chart. So you can kind of interact with them you can meet people where on the level that they're at and understand that they're meeting you at the level that you're at. And if they don't, then you just float away and just vibrate with people that are at one or getting there. And that's what we're trying to come into, I think, in this year, this new calendar year. But again, we still have time, because the zodiac starts with Aries. It's the first house, so we still have time to get to the beginning of the year. I think Chinese New Year starts then too. It's funny. So we're at the end of our cycle of completion of our zodiac. So don't give, like, it's time to continue embodying the energy of Capricorn, and then Aquarius, and then Pisces. And then when Aries starts again, the spring, when plants grow, that's naturally the real start of the year and the new progression, right? So we're not over. We're still embodying this energy. We're still charging up and shedding, the old self. So just a little tip. Anyways, continuing on here with the 5th ray. So again, this 5th ray, let me pull up my little handy dandy chart. Let's do it this way. Can I get it here way smaller? Okay, 5th ray right here. So as I was saying, the first three rays are the rays of aspect. Those are the original aspects of deity that were broken down and then reflect out into these rays of attribute. These make up the attributes and all the different varieties of combinations of people and personalities that are in form, the form life, which is what we are, sentient beings. So fourth ray we went over last time. Fifth ray right here is the ray of intelligence and of scientific reasoning, also known as the ray of concrete knowledge in the Bailey books. So we'll go over here. It's the ray of the mind, the science, the sciencey types and whatnot here. All right, so it's not much to read. I'm going to read this real quick and then again jump into the tarot, the flashcards that are going to tell us the correlation from what the occult, what the masters studied to understand this stuff. We're going to look at, see how it's kind of reflected in some triggers that are stimulated from looking and studying tarot, and then see if there's any correlation with, again, basic astrology, psychology, all that stuff, personality, all these things, because they do overlap. And the esoteric version of psychology is where we introduce the unseen with the seen. We merge it together so that we can become at one with the whole picture of ourselves. So that's the work. Continuing here, the fifth ray. Okay, we just read over it ending in the last section where the different planes that the different rays operate on, and it goes in order, and it says that the spheres going out. The fifth ray works on the mental plane. And so the fifth ray, therefore, works actively on the plane of the greatest moment to humanity, being for man, the plane of the soul. And this again here, you can see fifth ray, it's the solar plexus center. And so that's an easy way to remember that this is the plane of the soul, the solar, the sun. That's our solar center. And so the fifth ray is of greatest moment to humanity because it is the plane of the soul and of the higher and lower mind. So this was the thinking center where it attaches us to the mental plane where all thoughts and ideas of concrete knowledge originate from, is in that mental plane, that realm of mental activity where we figure everything out and give logic to everything, facts and figures, to articulate and describe things in a way that we can comprehend and share that knowledge in a way that makes sense. It embodies the principle of knowledge, and because of its activity and its close relation to the third ray, which is of active intelligence, it might be regarded as a ray having a most vital relation to man at this time in particular. It is the ray which, when active, as it was in Lemurian times, produces individualization, which is literally the shifting of the evolving life of God into a new sphere of awareness. This particular transference into higher forms of awareness tends at the beginning to separativeness. So again, this is very interesting because it says that the fifth ray, again, concrete knowledge, it's the realm of the soul, but it's also the realm of the mind, mental activity. What happens when we think that we're really smart and we know something and we've figured it out? We separate ourselves naturally. We tend to put ourselves, like they have the IQ tests. So in personality traits and intelligence quotient, that's what the IQ is. We measure out people's intelligence quotient and we determine how smart they are and how ignorant they are. The smarter you are, the more you kind of posture up and you get degrees, you get letters behind your name. You start to behave a certain way. I mean, people know people who insist on being referred to as doctor once they earn those letters. Certainly it's a great accomplishment, but that air that sometimes comes with it, as my intelligence quotient puts me at a higher level than others, is where we get that self of individual identity. I have done the work. I have mastered the knowledge. I know things. And it's usually a specialized knowledge, right? So it's not that you are a master of all things. They're not that jack of all trades. They're not that monad. Jack of all trades has a bad connotation, but the monad is the essential goal because it's the master of all things. The jack of all trades is a master of none. So back to the letters and that specialization. We want to be individualized and seen as a master of whatever knowledge we stand on. our studies that we have gone heavily into. And that's part of what it says is the shift of evolving the life of God into a new sphere of awareness, because our God self does not know individuation because you're connected to all things. God knows only itself, him or herself. God knows all things as one united thing. It sees this division and all the stuff that we've created down here, and it's like, that's just silly, because if they really knew what was going on, they would see that they're hurting each other. The left hand is connected to the right, the left hand acts like the right side doesn't know what it's doing, and vice versa. You cannot hide from yourself because you are all things. So when we get to this individualization of intelligence, that mental trick is where we start to individualize ourselves, and it comes to that goal which God did want, to separate itself, himself, herself, into these separate forms so that it could express divinity. That's what the 7 rays are about, the different aspects that each of us personalities go forth and then express divinity in all the different ways that we can do it. But by that first breaking down of awareness into that individual self, it says it tends toward separativeness at the beginning. And Carl Jung talks about this too. But that's where we kind of get our understanding of what our archetypes are. Who am I as an individual? How do I represent myself separate from the group? How do I stand out? Me, learning about personality. You're born, you learn to walk. The first thing you do is learn your name. You've been assigned a name. It has these letters and these energies and these vibrations to it, and you start to embody that. You have your birth chart. You start to live into that. The knowledge that you acquired from the zodiac while you were in the womb, those 9 months while you're baking in there, that's what you're good at. That's what you've mastered. And then you come out into the world, but you're not complete yet, right? Because you could have the positive or negative attributes of those traits that you mastered while you were in the womb, in mom's belly, but you got her version of her mastery of that is what you were feeding in the womb. Then you're birthed out into the world. You still have to embody those other 3, learn that, but it's the ones that you are least kind of acclimated towards. You have less of a, like a liking or an affinity towards. So you kind of avoid that. You might avoid those types of people. You're like, I don't really get along with those types of people, but those are just the people that you don't embody yet, the energies that you don't embody yet. But like we were saying, we're part of all that whole. So that separativeness is the illusion. So as we go through life and we're kind of crippled, we have this fractal, what does it say? Fragmented soul. We're unaware of that, but that's a first step. That's a part of it. So understanding that's not wrong. It's just a step. And so when you look at people and you want to see variances of how many lifetimes we've lived, old soul, new soul, you'll see that degree of understanding on a spectrum. And the level to which we harm another is kind of that new soul mindset where you're very separate. You've created this psychopathy. It's like the psychopath or the sociopath, where you don't empathize with another because you think that you are separate from that person, truly. But really, you can see on a global scale, like the pain that we're going through right now. When the left hand thinks that the right doesn't know what's going on, they cause harm and they think that it doesn't hurt themselves, when it does. And it is, because they're seeing that and the unfolding. So this is talking about referring back to Lemurian times, which is when this ray was first active. There was a huge uprising in that individualization that happened. People want to be captains of industry, doing things, all this stuff, expressing all these different individual ways that we can shine. But the idea is to not be so separative in that. Continuing on, the 5th ray has produced what we call science. In science, we find a condition which is rare in the extreme. Science is separative in its approach to the different aspects of the divine manifestation, which we call the world of natural phenomena. But it is non-separative in actuality, for there is little warring between the sciences and little competition between scientists. And it says in contrast to that. So we have scientists who says that the idea of science and study is to pick things apart and to understand it in its smallest separate, like really getting down to that individual attribute of a thing and studying that and classifying it. So it seems very separative, but it says in a very rare and extreme case of how it turns out, it's actually not so separative in its expression. In comparison, it says to religion going on. It says that actually, because there's little warring between scientists, they're not like, my science is better than your science. They're like, okay, we proved it. We did the scientific method. This makes sense. This wins. Who you studied this? We all go. We give them a prize. They get a pin at the little gathering. I'm thinking of the great John Nash. What is that? Beautiful Mind. They like applaud each other and they give each other trophies. They're like, good job. You are the person that discovered that. You did that. We put your name on it. Everybody's fine. We share it. If we're going to build upon it, I have to do something new. I can't plagiarize. I can't copy you. It's just, you did that. That's your lane. You mastered that. And that's science. We don't war over it. We build upon it, and it's really kind of harmonious. But then ironically, it says that religion is more separative. In this, the workers in the scientific field differ profoundly from those of the religious. The reason for this is to be found in the fact that the true scientist, being a coordinated personality and working therefore on mental levels, works very close to the soul. The soul on the mental plane, again, the solar plexus, is more coordinated in the personality, so it does not act on whim and emotion as much. As we continue on, we'll see that it does in religion. They work very close to the soul. The developed personality produces the clear distinctions of the dominant lower mind, but if one may use such a symbolic way of expression, the close proximity of the soul negates a separative attitude. The religious man is preeminently astral or emotional and works in a more separative manner, particularly in this Piscean age. At the time this was written, we're now in an Aquarian age, and as it says, in the Piscean age, which is passing away. So when I say religious man, I refer to the mystic and to the man who senses the beatific vision. So that's the idea of understanding higher power, God source, people that feel like they have a direct connection to God and things like that. And so it's, again, that whole, I am special, I am the prophet, I am the preacher, I've got the knowledge, obey me, my way's right, go out there and convert everybody else to this. Their way is wrong. We are willing to die for this. Certain other religions, like, what is that? Where you have the mercy, like I don't want to get into too much of that, but, I'm willing to destroy others because I feel like they're doing it wrong. They're worshiping wrong. Worship is war. Warring between those factions is very separativeness, a very separative, where the idea and the doctrine is truly love, right? So that's why in a lot of this, and there's a section here where it goes over the high and the lower expression of these rays, where religion is, or faith and devotion, which is right here on the 6th ray that we're going to get into next time, it's actually a divine attribute. It's very, obviously, it's a very high expression of deity because it's dealing directly with an acknowledgement of something higher and something greater, beauty and love, a higher power. But how we express that with these systems of control and dogma and religion, all that, it really undercuts that divine expression and turns it into something very base and lower conscious. So that's where Alice Bailey expertly compares the scientists to religious individuals in terms of this individualization and separativeness and all this, where scientists are actually pretty peaceful considering they work in a field that majors in dividing things up. And religion works in a field of showing love and spreading love, is much more separativeness and warring the energy. Not always, but what we see in the negative aspects. Anything else to say there? I'll just continue on. She emphasizes here that when talking about religious and those who sense the beatific vision, those who are spiritualists that understand, like higher God, like what we're talking about, we do understand that too. She says, I refer not to disciples, nor those who are called initiates, for they add to the mystical vision a trained mental apprehension. So they have understanding. And that's what it is about, that balance, where you have knowledge, but you also have understanding of, you have this intuition and this inspiration. You understand spirit and the unseen realm, but you also have mental apprehension of it to balance that out. You inflate yourself to understand that you know God and you are God, but then you humble yourself to know that you are not that full, huge embodiment. Humble yourself back into the seat where you can still be the student. Let's do the tarot correspondences really quick. Actually, I'm going to read this chart across here. So again, we already talked about how the fifth ray is the ray of intelligence and scientific reasoning, representing or orienting primarily from the solar plexus space. It is in the aspect of the mind, the master. Description here is the mind. It's cogent, analytical discernment, scientifically articulated truth, revelation of the way and nature of life, the logician, the alert thinker, common sense, mental brightness, the independent thinker, developing wisdom, keen intelligence. A lot of synonyms are the same thing here. We're just saying this is all the smart people, high IQ, right? This is where they dwell on this ray. What we can understand about them to grow, if we want to understand our negative qualities and the qualities to develop if we are on this ray primarily, is our negative qualities will obviously be that we'll have a very concrete mind, very set in our ways. Concrete's fixed, it's immovable. We're very narrow-minded, arrogant, separative, like we were talking about. And this could be seen in some of those individuals we talked about on both sides, right? You have the religious and you have the scientists that could be like, call me doctor and nothing but. You know, we want to give respect and call doctors to where it's due, but it's like, I'm not going to touch that. You know what I mean? Lack of sympathy and reverence. So they don't have respect in the same way that is needed in that realm when you're too much of the mind in the mental realm. Too much separativeness is a trick, a trap, as we'll get into with the tarot. Mental fixation on the trivial, prejudice, argumentativeness, unforgiving criticism. And the ways to counter that is to develop qualities of reverence, devotion, sympathy, love, broad-minded logic, wisdom, opening up a little bit, humbling thyself. Like that song, Humble Thyself in the Sight of the Lord, is something that a lot of the religious people can do. Take a humbling. Like I'm not going to, I don't want to take too much time here. I want to wrap it up with 30 minutes, but I have a sticker on my car. I study all this stuff called Cult, everything. So I have that hermetic phrase, a sticker on my car, as above, so below. One day I was in the parking lot. I think I told this story in another video. And there's this transient woman. She walks around the neighborhood. So, I see her all the time. Always walking. But I think this particular day, I had my old car and the window, this car, I was just having a problem with the window. It wouldn't roll up all the way. So I was just sitting there. I had the windows down because I was trying to fix it to go back up because it was like jammed for some reason. It had gotten off the track. And this lady sees the sticker on the back of my car, again, as above, so below. And she decides to come up to me, already screaming. She's just like, you the Illuminati? Are you the devil? That's the devil's work, whatever. So she's just coming at me. I was kind of just like, is this really happening right now? But my first thought would go to empath versus psychopath or sociopath, which is what I think 2022 is going to be heavily about, is understanding which side are you on and getting in the middle. So she has a lack of empathy. She thinks in her love of God that she's serving that entity, which in a lot of ways, that's what they train them to do, is to be this way, very attacking, aggressive. So she's coming at me, she's yelling in my car, she's making all these accusations, and then she's affirming that Jesus is her husband, she loves the Lord, she's, all this stuff. So my first thing I'm like, okay, she's probably out of it, she's walking around, maybe she's tired. I'm like, are you okay? Do you need anything? Are you lost? Or can I help you with something? Like, no, I'm not in the Illuminati, but as you understand it, probably Illuminati means illuminated, illuminates. But obviously we can't have a conversation there because she's on sixth ray devotion, blinded by it, and not fifth ray intelligence, reasoning, so we can balance that energy. We can have a dialogue. She keeps going more and more. And so here's where you have to have that spectrum where you pull back that empath, where I'm taking in her, I'm putting myself in her shoes. What does she need? Why is she so upset? How can I solve this, diffuse this with love and light and flowers? I realized, no, she's really coming closer to me, of course, towards my car and yelling all this stuff at me, saying all this stuff. And so my Aries side activates. And I'm like, okay, no, you need to back up. You need to get away from my car and you need to back up. And then so I was, so I immediately slipped. So you go into that sociopath, lack of empathy, understanding. You got to dial it back on that spectrum. So this lady, again, religious zealot, is coming in, harassing and creating this situation, this angst situation, like she's ready to fight me. And I'm over here knowing that as above, so below is it's a hermetic principle of understanding. So it's all about understanding. Where I'm coming from is love and understanding, and how interesting she's coming from aggression, hate, and war. So that's just a simple example of this dynamic and how it plays out, and how we need to understand and check ourselves, and how we can also be trapped into the illusion of thinking that we don't need to defend ourselves against that. These concrete, narrow-minded, arrogant ways that people project themselves. Don't ever let someone talk down to you, even those in that, doctoral, I never think of that. The movie Fargo, where the lady goes, I'm something. She's like, well, I'm a police officer. It's like, assert me. Who am I? Who are you? I acknowledge that, and I give reverence to that. Reverence is respect, but also I want that back. The empath often forgets to put themselves in their own shoes. How do I feel? How is this affecting me? I got to defend myself too. All right, real quick. Tarot. All right, so I have 3 decks here, mostly the Field, which I've used in the previous videos, and the Cosmic Tarot. I just wanted to show, like, if you're into this, it's like flashcards of the occult, right? How we can trigger our minds to understand this information. Occult study, not divination necessarily, but there's different images depicted on the different cards. So this is to show you that too. So if you can't take some of the more direct imagery, here's the Devil card, which I said corresponds to this energy that we're talking about here. You can see the Devil card in the Field Tarot is just a much softer depiction of the very same message. It's not about the cards, because we're not calling upon spirits to give us stories and information on other people's lives and to, dabble and do all that. We're seeking information and guidance on ourselves, our own journey, the Fool's journey to enlightenment, bringing the soul to at-one-ment. So anyways, the Devil, and this is the in-between tarot, which is really cool. And this is showing the Devil card in between the Devil and the Tower. And this deck is really cool in this respect because it shows you a warning of when you're in between these energies, you can bring about destruction. So the Devil, I'm going to read from the Field what that card actually means and how it relates to this 5th ray. It's about seductive forces that are at play and attempting to take you down the wrong path. In the in-between tarot, you can see that these people are standing in an assembly line. They're wearing exactly the same thing. They're heading towards the same thing. This looks like it's the tree of life. It's here with all these apples in there, and they think they're going towards the truth, right? Enlightenment or whatever these fruits are going to give them. Standing in line to get their shots of whatever is being held up. But right now, and there's this person over here on the horse, we assume that that person's an authority because they're the only one on a horse. They're dressed differently. They've got a thing on their head. So we're assuming that this person is the one to lead us. On this card, you've got the big suit right here. Listen to me, but you don't see what their true intentions are. They're chaining those people down below. But if we just blindly obey, this card tells us the lesson is it can lead us to the Tower, a certain destruction, which is not horrible. It's just a lesson, a cosmic, huge, larger lesson. But we could go around that by understanding this card, which teaches us as a flashcard. There are seductive forces at play that are attempting to take you down the wrong path. They may have you feeling afraid and trapped. Shine light on and bring awareness to these negative, unhealthy influences in order to break free from their firm grip. Say to someone, you are being very separative right now. I'm just kidding. You're not going to say that. You're going to say, like I said to that lady, okay, you need to back up. That's all you need to say. Affirm that energy needs to back up because it's not the person. She might have been going through anything. Might be a sweet little person underneath all that. Her intentions may be good, but the expression is not divine. It's not of the rays of what we're trying to express here. So you can just back that energy right up. And like I said, swim on over to those who can understand that love and light and religion is a beautiful thing if you express the love and light of it. It's not what she was doing. That wasn't the right movement. All right, keywords here are temptation, materialism, addiction, negative influence, and entrapment. Again, so that concrete, narrow-minded energy that creates that separateness and the mental fixation on things that can create, actually lead us into a trap where we don't want to go, which is down the path of being controlled by those who are manipulative because they have that lack of empathy on that spectrum. The sociopath lacks empathy, so they can beguile and trick. The psychopath can trick another and seem so cunning as they're doing it. I'm here to help you. Just come on, follow me down this dark alley. You're like, no. Okay, I choose no. Moving on, the next correspondence is the moon. I'm showing here two examples again. One is from the Field Tarot, and this is from the Cosmic Tarot. This is a more traditional view. Again, this is a softer, different view right here. We both have this full moon in the background. And the energy of the moon card, the moon suggests that all may not be as it seems, whether it be a misunderstanding, a hidden truth, like we see in the Devil card, or when people are showing half their hand or are basing all of their information on narrow-minded information. Only what is seen. We are becoming at one with the seen and the unseen. So we understand that people that are driven by these energies, the moon, may be driven by half-truths, misunderstandings, hidden truths, or suppressed emotions. And what we do to counteract that is we allow our intuition to shine light on what might not be seen or known. Allow that intuition to guide you through darkness. The keywords here are illusion, fear, subconscious, withheld information, and intuition. So we use our intuition to guide. How does this feel? How does the way these people are behaving feel? Does it feel like they're coming from love and expansion and merging back their fragmented souls, or is it of more division, more separativeness, and more control? Then we understand that they might have been beguiled by an influence like this devil energy that it warns us about. And the last one here, Hermit card, I thought that this kind of correlated because it's more on the side of qualities to develop. So what you do when you encounter all of this, and it alludes to that in the moon card, it talks about shining light. The Hermit card traditionally has man holding the lantern, and it has kind of similar things here in both of these cards. Over here again is the cosmic and then the field. This woman has a lantern and it's letting her lead the path. So it's symbolic of being guided by the light. This card also depicts the hermit because the hermit is known for going off into the self, a journey into the self, retreating from the noise of everything to go deep into an inward study of the truth, seeking the truth within oneself, deep study, and time to reflect. So he's off by himself. Over there he has his lantern and the light shining. He's focused on the light, focused on the truth. Light is illumination, is truth. So that's commonly depicted that way in occult stories and things like that. So that's why the card is kind of illustrated that way. And to close this up really quick, I will read that card for the Hermit. The Hermit is when this flashcard tells us that there comes a time in life when one must step back and reflect. Whether it be physically or emotionally, this is the perfect time to retreat. Look inward to find answers and spend time soul searching on your own without distractions from the outside world. Keywords: introspection, solitude, retreat, consciousness, contemplation, and seclusion. So that's it for that. Just over 30 minutes. I think I'll go ahead and stop here. Obviously, I could go on. Which one was me? This one. Yeah. All right. My throat hurts. I'm going to have some tea. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.